in terms of playtime, it's so let's see. I set that up. I think I set that up back in September, and I probably played for another month ish,
Hmm.
and then I just needed a break. Like I was grinding a lot.
Yep.
And so I think I took a few weeks off, and I didn't really start playing again until a couple weeks ago.
Hmm.
And since that time, I've been probably going not, I was doing a little bit of deathmatch, a little bit of Vaxta, um, playing some Valorant outside of that, and doing a little bit of aim training with that, but nothing really major. But now that I've been back to it, it's just been all comp, probably,
Right.
3, 4 hours in the evening at night with some friends, and I try to keep it. If I play 2 hours of friends, I'm going to try to play at least a couple hours solo queue just to make
Yeah.
because I think I mentioned in those notes that when I started season 12, because that was a rank reset, right? 12.
Yeah. Yeah. Somewhere on there. Yeah.
Yeah. So when I started 12, I think I placed silver, silver 2 or silver 1, and then I
Yep.
managed to solo queue up to gold 4.
Nice.
And
Nice.
I stayed there for a couple weeks, but then I also mentioned in my notes I feel like maybe I was getting carried by people coming through the rank
I saw
reset,
that.
if
Yeah.
that's a
Yeah.
thing, because I fell back to 3, and then as I mentioned, I took a break. Right before the break, I just fell back to 5, silver
Yeah.
5, and I
Makes
was like,
sense.
I got to stop because I'm getting frustrated. Something's
Yeah.
not,
Of course.
and it's like that's kind of where I'm at. So it's all comp all the time now,
Okay.
whether it's with friends or not, but it's still kind of the same thing. It's still I managed to duo with friends, and at least I solo queued up to silver too. So that's where I'm at now. But it's the same thing. I'm bouncing between silver 2 at 40% and 60%, like dead in the
Yeah.
middle.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Well, I guess let's take the W's where we can. So first thing is, I know it's been a year. I clicked back to your previous form, but you were bronze. Like you were bronze. So like you have made a significant stride in terms of improvement here. So that's
Yeah.
good. The question is going to be like, what's the next step, and what can you do? What can you be doing better? Now, I don't know how much of this we talked about with our last session.
Yeah, we did
Um,
Ash last time. So, but I think a lot of that helped in terms of HP management,
yeah,
positioning and things like that. So it
yeah,
did transfer over to support some.
right. But we haven't been on a call. I remember
Oh,
this.
no. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
no.
Okay. So good. So good. So we need to talk. I think so. In my experience, it might not be the case with you, but in my experience, most of the struggles with rank for just everybody are kind of like due to like your understanding of how to play or how to grind or like what you need to be doing on your end, and not just like the
Mhm.
gameplay feedback stuff, which is helpful, but obviously there's a lot more to that.
Yeah.
So we talked about Ash. What are we going to be looking at today? Support?
Yeah, and it's weird. I need to schedule more of these calls because I've been on like sort of a heaviest streak, so it was kind of hard to pull some games. I
Well,
think
I
my
don't care if it's win or not. I just care about close games, to be honest with you.
Oh, okay. And
Yeah.
there may be one or two where, because this is kind of what I'm falling into is, and it's actually goes back to sort of the replay, not really having a lot of replays I like, but
Mm-hmm.
also the mental, because I'm still trying to work on, I'm always trying to pay attention to positioning.
Right.
I think I watched a video with you and Ultraviolet,
Yep.
and that you were talking about, or the two of you
Shambali
were,
and Blizzard World, I think.
yeah, I think so.
Or
And
no, Midtown. Sorry. Sorry. Sorry.
well, there was discussion about, and I think maybe I'd watched some other VOD review that you'd done, but basically it was like, how do you position to where you can support your team, but you can also put out damage? I'm
Mm-hmm.
still trying to do that, but then I also find myself with two other issues. I think one is mental, and I'll get to that in a second, but the other
Yeah.
one in terms of gameplay is it's still where's that balance of am I damaging too much? Am I not healing? Am I healing too much? Because I have a duo when we both play support, and she's a lot of times she can pick up a lot of the healing just because she's that good at it. I don't know how she does it, and so that maybe that's something we'll see, because sometimes I feel like we might even overlap, like I'm not paying attention,
Mm-hmm.
because it's like she has 10K, I have 5 with Anna, and I'm like, wait, I'm just constant, and these are in situations where I feel like I'm heal botting sometimes, like I'm just
Right.
It's like, what? Wait, what's happening? So anyway, there's that, and it's trying to work out that balance. And I think the mental thing that I made reference to is I have an ego. Apparently, I didn't realize I had.
Everybody does.
Because if I'm playing Kiri and that other Kiri's poking me, I can stand it for a little bit, but then it's like, okay, we got to settle this. And then, I'm sure that detracts from my value to my team in some way. But there's even one of the reviews, I think the Blizzard World, there's a BAP on the other team that's, I know this might sound whiny. I kind of watched the replay. I felt his aim was a little questionable, but still, regardless, I tried to poke him a little more than I maybe should have, rather than focusing on my team. So I think that's kind of my top issue.
Okay.
Balancing the healing and the damage, not letting my ego take over and try 1v1 widows and Hanzos that are pissing me off, and that kind of thing.
Yeah. Okay. We'll take a look then. It's good that you had some Ashe practice, because I do think that you and Ashe have a lot in common with Ana, right? So like you take sightline, you put out pressure, and obviously it looks a little different with the heal responsibility, but there is a lot of similarities too, which makes it nice. So short-term goals, I'd like to climb to platinum. Now, I really want to talk more about like your playtime since booking the session, because you talked about you hard grinded, you got burned out, you took a break, especially when you started like dip pretty hard, came back in. I'm gonna be honest with you. I would go as far to say like 60% of my sessions, that's the problem. That kind of stuff right there. I worked with both of my sessions just yesterday, had the exact same problem where there was like rank reset or had something IRL come up and they weren't able to play, or ended up playing too much or tilt queued, and basically led to a spiral, right? They either got a little lucky and then got unlucky and then it kept going. Or I had a lady I was working with yesterday, and she was like second guessing her entire hero pool based off of the rank reset, right? So she dropped to Diamond 1 to like Diamond 3, so she's like, oh, I must be playing the wrong heroes. And then obviously that didn't work out very well, because now she's playing characters that she's not good at, and then she tries to pick up the characters that she used to play, but she's in plat now, so she thinks that she can just carry doing whatever, but that's not working, because now she's playing like in ways that she never did before, and so just like it's a giant mess, right? So we looked at gameplay, right? And I don't want to do that with you, obviously, to address your concerns, but like we have to really go back to like September. Like what happened? Like tell me this, like just tell me the story. Like what happened with playtime and taking a break and heroes and winning and losing, rank reset. What happened?
I think it was that. It was a lot of. I mean, I think it was just a break. It's like so I'm just going to preface it with this. This is not any blame towards you. It's just the way it worked out objectively. It's like, I scheduled that in September, and it was like, what was that? Probably like 7 weeks at that point.
Yep. That's something we're trying to fix, by the way. I'm actually having to raise prices again, because I'm booked out till February, and I have been since like early November. So yeah, it's definitely an issue, but continue.
No, and I'm not saying that it's just that's kind of what contributed to it, because it was like, and that's when I started watching VOD reviews that you were doing more on the channel. Was like, I think I booked the session. I was like, all right, I watched a couple of these VOD reviews. Let's see what happens. After 2 weeks, I was still stuck at Silver 3. And I'm like, I can't stay stuck here until we have this coaching session. So that was more of the break thing, in terms of just me, because it was more about, not so much about the 7 weeks, but as it was, I know I would sit there and grind that Silver 3 until we met.
So you would be basically just spinning the wheels but not making any progress.
And so it was more of a self-preservation type.
I got you. Makes sense.
And I think the other thing that contributed to it too was you were talking about hero pools. It's like I'm really doubling down a lot, because I know you talked a lot about that too. It's like, let's have a couple of heroes that you're really good at. So I'm pretty set in stone on Kiri, Ana.
It's a good pool. I think both of those characters are pretty flexible too.
Yeah, and that's typically how I use them. It's like, okay, sniper-ish, long range, Ana, need to get around more Kiri, and that's the way I kind of look at it.
Yep. Very intelligent, yeah.
And then so when I start to look more at a third, I'm still dabbling. It's like I'm leaning a little into Juno, a little into Zen. And this is kind of the thing which I think I referenced in there too, was like I may be letting the community get to me on this one, but there are games where I will struggle with, whether it's Kiri or Ana, or I feel like my teammates are not, like objectively they just stand out in the open, or they stand in the big wad. And it's like, okay, this is a Moira comp. Because I know I can throw an orb in the middle of everybody and it takes care of itself. But then I'm like, am I cheesing a little bit? Like, I don't like this. I want to be better at Ana Kiri. I'd like, like I said, I'll lean into Zen when he feels good. And then it's like, if there's a ball, if there's a Doomfist, I'm probably going to go Brig, especially if my duo or somebody is a Ana. And it's like, is that a good move, or am I cheesing again a little bit?
I mean, you kind of are. Yeah. So the way I look at it is it's like, I think you can be like, yeah, I think that strategically makes sense. You're going to get full orb value. Mm-hmm. But what ends up happening is you end up having these blind spots about things that your character can do. So for example, if you were to ask probably 6 out of 10 Doomfist mains, especially in higher rank, that'd probably climb to 7 or 8. What's their most difficult matchup? Most of them are probably going to say Ana. Not Sombra, not Cassidy, not even Roadhog, but Ana. Now, it's a skill check for sure, but an anti-nade sleep dart, that stuff hurts, like real bad, right? And I think if you go like to the Wrecking Ball example, there's a little bit of that too. But if you go to the, we could use the same analogy with the group up, right? You're like, I'm going to get full orb value, heal orbing and damage orbing, 12 people or 10 people, whatever, right? True, but what about anti-nade?
Yeah.
What about Kitsune Rush?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you talk about value, right? There's your value. I mean, heck, you can even look at it from Kiriko. If everybody's grouped up, that means every single angle or lane that you want to take to flank is completely free, right? You can do any lane you want. So the question is not whether Brigitte is good versus Ball or Doom. The answer is yes. The question is not whether Moira is good with grouped up comps. The answer is yes. The question is that something that you want to long-term commit to? Because if the answer is no, then you shouldn't be playing the character. And while you're trying to min-max that, you're missing out on the fact that Ana can provide value in those situations too, if not as much, close to as much.
Yeah.
So I think it's just about not min-maxing the strats, just min-maxing your personal output, right?
Okay. Yeah, and that, I'm glad you brought that up, because that is another thing that I'm struggling with right now. Whether it's Kiri, I think it's probably more Kiri than Ana, because I'll try sleep dart nade like a flank Moira or somebody.
Yeah.
If there's a Moira, I'd say over the last week I've thought about it more. Maybe the play is not to duel the Moira, but to TP away. Because I do that a lot. Like, I take so many duels versus Moiras and I lose.
Well, let's put it this way. Like, what's the advantage of you versus a Moira? You start to lose a duel, what do you do?
I mean, I could Suzu or TP away.
Okay. So duel the Moira. Just don't lose. That's it,
I think
right?
That's the problem. I lose a lot.
That's the problem, right? Like, that's the advantage you have with mobility, is like, you start to lose, you just go, I don't want to play with you anymore. Just leave, right?
That's true.
Yeah. I think that's a good general rule. Like, I think, like, even going back to like your whole ego comment earlier, which, first off, we all have ego. Some of us are just more honest about it than others, right? The thing is you can't let your ego affect your actions in a negative way, right? Like, that's where you have to have the self-awareness and the objectivity to decide whether it's affecting you in a negative way. If I've got a Kiriko taking an angle on me and shooting me in the head, it's not ego for me to shoot back at her. Now, that might be, if you're using ego to fuel that duel, then yes, that's a mistake. But you need a sense of objectivity. I need to shoot her out, otherwise she will kill me and distract my team, right? So that's not ego. That's just that's good strategy. Shoot her in the face, right? And I think that we're going to see a consistent theme of that is maybe that you're interpreting some of your selfishness or your output as ego, and maybe it is initially. But I'm going to reinterpret that as like, okay, maybe you have bad intentions with what you're doing here, but the result's going to be good if you can do it, right? Yeah. It's the same thing with healing your team, right? It's not that like it's all about you, ego, don't heal your team. It's knowing when is the output of heal just not as good as the output of offensive pressure, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that's something I hope maybe I don't know if we can see it in the gameplay as
We will.
much, but
We will.
like with Ana is like again going back. I know stats. We shouldn't look at stats, but other
Mm-hmm.
people are looking at, and it's like what I feel like I'm having a good stat game with Ana. It feels like my teammates, for whatever reason, not a blame type, they suck thing, but for whatever
Yeah.
reason, maybe they don't understand the value that I'm providing with certain things. And then it's like I'll swap because it's like, yeah, I like Ana here, but it doesn't seem like we're getting value out of, and which is another thing. That was something else I picked it up from. I think maybe Ultraviolet or some other
Mm-hmm.
pod was. I was a nade chunker. I just chunk, yeet it down there and see if it
Yeah,
hits
yeah,
somebody.
yeah,
But
yeah,
then
yeah.
it's like, why? Like Zarya's not close enough. Ryan's not close enough.
Right.
Nobody can take. So I've been trying to do that more. But again, it's sort of still that same thing. All right, I put that nade in there and they were close, but then they ran away as opposed to engaging. So it's like, all right, maybe my team's not as aggressive, and so Ana's not to play here or something.
The good plays, if when we look at these in the review, are going to be
Mm-hmm.
value regardless of whether your team capitalizes off it or not, in the way that you
Mm-hmm.
can see. So the good news is that good nades are good nades.
Yeah.
If your team doesn't get the kill, they'll get the space. If the enemy team doesn't die, at least they'll back off. They'll buy you some pressure, right? So
Yeah.
I've been noticing you bring up community a lot. You talked about that with the Moira orb thing. You talk about that like my team is not performing. Like that's a real dangerous trap for you to fall into,
Mm.
right? And that's a real dangerous trap regardless of what rank you're at, but especially when you're in silver, right? There's a reason
Yeah.
why your teammates are silver, right? And
Yeah.
ironically, there's a reason you're a silver. And I think it's with how much you're thinking and talking about the community,
I see.
you know?
Yeah.
So it's not just that stats don't matter, it's that the community impression, frankly, doesn't matter. All that matters
Yeah.
is your output. You don't need your teammates to like you. You don't need your teammates to be proud of you. You don't need your teammates to understand what you're doing. You'll just win games. You'll just win
I
games.
get you. That
And I've
makes
been
sense.
there, right? I was in silver a long time. I was in silver a long time. Silver was really the rank where I learned how to play the game because I was hard stuck in silver for like 3 or 4 months, which I know is not long
Mm-hmm.
as you, but for how much I was applying myself and how much of a sweat lord, right? I tried hard calming and flexing and filling and being positive and PMA and swapping and encouraging and shot calling. And that's why I was silver. It's not that shot calling is always bad or being PMA is always bad, but when you put your level of focus on what can I do to help my team, instead of just what can I do to help these children that don't understand any better, you're just gonna win games. It's not like and the thing is, it's like the thing you have to understand as well is it's in their best interest too. It's not about
Mm-hmm.
being selfish because that's what you gotta do. You gotta leave all the crappy silver players behind you and just stomp on them. No, you're helping them win the game. They don't know it, but you're helping them. In fact, you might even teach them. Might go, man, that Ana was crazy. Like, like probably not, right? But
Yeah.
you got to get your mind out of the gutter with this, right? And I think that starts with where am I going to be getting value? Because silver players don't understand the game. They don't understand the game. They don't understand first-person shooters at all. So what can you do to get value? What habits are you in, whether it's listening to teammates or being in voice or flexing or filling or trying to chase the dopamine or worrying too much about your stats, which you know you shouldn't worry about, but you're still looking at, right?
Yeah.
What do we need to drop? Like what needs to go? Because these are just ankle weights, really. That's all
Yeah,
they are.
and that's another thing. It's about there's a reason for the coaching too. There were two things I took away recently too after the break that have really helped. Is like I think I had the attitude of initially was like I'm going to go play for 5 hours a day, and that 5 hours should make me climb to gold. But then it was like somewhere along the
Yeah.
line, I can't remember if it was something you said or somebody else was like it's been presented to me over my duration playing Overwatch. For some reason, it just didn't really click until recently. But it's the whole no. Blizzard doesn't have it set up where you play 20 hours in your gold, you play
Right.
50 hours in your plat.
Right.
It's you have to get better to
Right.
go to gold and plat. And I'm like,
Right.
I get it. But to your point, I also really am interested in that puzzle, because I think I've talked about it with friends for sure. It's like I've a lot of times I don't know for whatever reason, but I was always having Smurfs against me.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'd say earlier this year, into last year, a couple times, I've played with Smurfs, and it's always been that, it's a little Torb who's just running the lobby, and it doesn't look to me like he's. I noticed that he's positioning better. He's stopping more often when he needs a heal, and really outside of that, I can't tell what else he's doing. And so it's always been like that puzzle piece. So it's interesting that you bring that up about Silver. It's like, I feel like I know enough about the game in terms of, you know, okay, if I play with Genji, I want a nano. If it's like I know how to ult track a little bit, but
Mm-hmm.
but to your point, there's still this mystery to me that has yet to be unveiled, and that's why I kind of got coaching and continue to
Mm-hmm.
play the game is because my brain, I'm a programmer by trade, so
Right.
I want to solve the problem. Like, what is this problem that I don't know how to solve to get the
Mm-hmm.
goal to play out, whatever. So yeah, that'll be interesting to see too.
Are there any common pitfalls a lot of like young or inexperienced novice programmers fall into? Just out of curiosity, if you could explain it in layman's terms.
Blinders, scorched earth, like they don't look at something holistically. It's like there's kind of a thing in the industry where we say, oh, we're just building widgets, and that's taken. I feel like that takes away a lot from people that do hard. But you get what I'm saying. It's like I'm an assembly line. Somebody wants me to build a form on a page, I build the form. Somebody has a bug over here, I need to fix that bug. Well, a lot of times juniors will just fix the bug, but they don't think about the analogy I used to do plumbing before I was a
Yep.
programmer, was you go to an old house that's like 100 years old and you start fixing a joint and you wiggle the pipes and it's like, yay, I fixed the joint. And then you look over and there's like 5 other leaks. It's kind of that same thing. It's like they didn't look at it holistically. They had blinders. I'm going to fix this joint. And then they fixed the bug, but then they didn't pay attention. They broke 5 other things.
Mm.
And
Mm.
so it's almost, it kind of sounds like it's almost relates to the analogy of what you're saying with me and potentially, oh, I'm focusing on my team, but I'm not seeing the game
You read the
holistically enough.
stat line. You look at the grouped up enemies. You look at
Yeah.
the Doomfist tank, right? And for every
Yeah.
problem that you're trying to fix, you're opening up the door to 4 or 5 other problems,
Yeah,
right?
that makes
And
sense.
and the reality is that like all you're doing is you're trading one problem for another. When all you need to do is just get good at fixing the pipe, right? If you practice
Yeah.
fixing the pipe and actually go, yeah, I'm introducing more problems, but I'm going to keep working at it until I can actually check all the boxes, like you said, be able to deal with all these bugs. Like you're just arbitrarily deciding what problem is the most important and then putting all of your energy into that. I want you to dump the load here, right? I want you to stop carrying all these things, carrying all this concern that's just slowing you down at this point, right? Like
Yeah.
whether it's stat line or playing the right character and making sure your teammates are following up, just this is why you're struggling to learn. This is why you dump 5 hours in the game and you don't make any progress, because what were those 5 hours? Where was your brain, right?
Yeah.
Was it on the offensive defensive balance? Was it about the chucking the nades? Was it about reading the battlefield or thinking or ult tracking? Sometimes, yeah, but not enough. Not enough. So I find that, I mean, I kind of mentioned this earlier, but the vast majority of players, it's not just about what they don't know, it's about what
Hmm.
they think about too much, or it's about stuff that's slowing
Yeah.
them down. So you got to discard the stuff that's slowing you down.
Yeah, I mean that's fair. So I grew up. I used to play a ton of golf and like
Yep.
tournament softball, and like that was one of my things. Like that was one thing I learned later in life about me playing golf practice wise. It's kind of like what we talk about. And I think when we talk about when you go into comp, you practice in comp, not quick play, because so many people go to the driving range and they just hit balls. They have no goal for that session, and then they go to the golf course. Or I think an even better one is like if you do go to the driving range, hit a driver, put it in a bag, hit an iron, practice like you play.
Yeah.
And so it's the same thing. It's like, you know, I just totally lost where I was going with that, but
Being deliberate with what you're doing.
yeah, but it's really focusing on that. And I think that's where I was headed. It was like, yeah, when I used to play, my friends would always tell me that, especially when in like tournament softball, like, dude, you're in a game and you're thinking about, oh, well, my shoulder goes here and I need to step in like this, and it's like, that's what practice is for. Like,
Right.
you're too in your head, and it's fair. It's a fair assessment. I know
Right.
myself well enough to say yes, that is exactly correct.
Yeah. Well, the fun thing for you here, and this is the fortunate thing, is that like really you never stop practicing in Overwatch.
Yeah.
Because if you think about it, you can always just re-queue, right? Like no one game is really a game, if that makes sense. Like every game that you do is an opportunity to drill, right? Every game that you do. In fact, that's how I've always practiced. That's how I've always coached practicing, is like, I'd say about 80% of the games that you play should be gone in with a specific goal in mind. So you actually do worry about your shoulder height, you know?
Yeah.
Because you're not playing one softball game, you're playing 10, 11, 12 a day, right? So
yeah.
You can afford to, and you should afford to just put, because there is no practice in Overwatch. The game is the practice. So, okay. Let's look at some gameplay here. Do you have any other questions?
No, I think I'm good for now. I'll say some of these are going to be, you know, I don't know. There's 3. I don't know how quick we'll get through these, but like some of these are, see, Junkertown.
Which one do you want to start with here?
Oh, we can start with Junkertown, because I think Junkertown was one of those scenarios where, you know, it's like, all right, cool. I think this one was, what did I come out with? All right, I came out with Kiri here. I think I swapped Ana, but this is kind of one of those situations where I believe it's kind of the whole, I'm going to do it myself mentality. Yeah, this is it. I can't remember. I think they swapped. Oh, that Echo. Okay. The Mercy was up Echo's butt the whole time, and my team wasn't doing anything. And it's like, I kind of went from that mode of, all right, I'm going to do it myself. And it's you know.
Yeah. I think like this is kind of like right where we talked about, where you have fixated on something, the pipe, that you feel like is the problem. And you're definitely right. It is a problem because it's 2 pipes, right? We got Echo and Mercy, right? The problem is that that's such a, you can't remember, as again, the analogy, right? It's not the only problem. You fix that pipe, you open up another problem, Diva, Moira, May. Your character takes angles and shoots and heals people. You may not be able to shoot and Echo Mercy all that much, but you can shoot Moira, you can shoot Diva, you can shoot May, and this map is pretty broad. You got a lot of opportunities to use your wall climb and your damage. So yes, you may not be the solution for that one problem, but if this was a 2v5, if you could 3v1 the entire enemy team, Echo Mercy wouldn't be a problem, right? Like, let's be honest here. So for you, it's like, if you want to play Ana here to deal with your problem, that's fine. But let's not pretend that that's the only problem on the battlefield right now.
I see.
And I think like that's the danger, is you identify something, whether it's the hero on the enemy team, the hero on your team, the map, your composition, your cooldowns. It's like the problem, and it goes right back to that programmer mistake where it isn't the only thing, and you should not be trying to deal with it if that's not what your character does well. So we'll play this out just a little bit. I know you don't play a lot of Kiriko, but what we'll do is we'll go right from the get-go, and we'll go, are you doing what you need to be doing? So right now I can already tell you, I appreciate the DPS, but you're not utilizing what makes your character unique. What makes your character special? It's not just the damage. What is it?
I would probably say maybe taking a different angle here.
That's it. Yeah, why not? Right? You can teleport through walls. You can teleport through walls. You got wall climb. You got a hitbox the size of a toothpick, right? So where can you be? Where can you go? Maybe not right away, but eventually, where do you want to be? Be creative here.
I mean, let's see, you know, I have to always remember I can't see these people outside the room. Maybe taking a better position, even up top right.
Yeah, love it.
Because that gives me a chance to poke Mercy, May, or either, you know, to your point, if I take that angle now, I see Diva.
That's it, right? You open up a different angle, right? You deny cover. You give yourself better vision. You get cleared out, you TP back to your team. And the other thing, too, as well, when you take top right here, let's say you go for your position here, not only do you have a better angle for shooting, but you actually have just fine vision for healing, too, right? Yeah. You're fine, yeah.
And then the Mega's underneath.
That's it, yeah. Take the angle. Now, you won't be able to get there immediately, but you will get there. It's fine, good shots. But I have a feeling that we're going to have this conversation for like the next 30 seconds. And in fact, I'm going to go and play 2 times because I guarantee you this is what we're going to lead Lou in. And let me tell you something. Kiriko is cheeks at this. Like, she's one of the worst in the entire game at standing behind tank and healing. Now, I know that you're like, well, that's not what, you know, gold players or people on the forums or Reddit say. Well, they're idiot. They don't know. They don't know. Ana's better at this. Zenyatta's better at this. Baptista's better at this. I think Moira arguably is better in this. Brigitta's probably better at this, right? It's not there's just not enough damage pressure, right? You have mobility. If you don't use mobility, you're screwed. That's it.
Well,
The only
go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was gonna say the only time. you go.
No,
You
go
go.
ahead.
You go. You go.
Okay. What I was going to say was what's interesting is we were talking about it earlier, and you'll see it in the Eichenwald one, which maybe we should do it next because the
Sure.
Blizz is just because it's shorter. But yeah, to your point, it's like there's a point where I just like, nah, I can go up. I can, it's like first point choke. It's like we can't get through it, and then I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna quit taking care of this bastion. I'm gonna run up on top of this bridge, and I'm gonna apply pressure myself. And it's like we push through.
Yep.
And so yeah, but no, and I hate to be that person. I hear your voice when I'm looking at this too, because I know you've said that in some of the VOD reviews too.
Yeah.
Don't sit behind your team and just poke.
Yeah, I mean, if you're an Ana or Zen, if you have a good sightline here, you're good. You don't have the mobility, so the game compensates you with having a lot more front-loaded pressure, right? But if you're a screwdriver, stop being a hammer. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like that's all there really is to it. If you're a screwdriver, go screw stuff. That's pretty much all it is. And right now, the only thing you're screwing is yourself. So,
and I guess to your point too, it's like again, I can go ahead and tell you that I know a part of this is, but if I go over there, my team's gonna think I'm a DPS.
Here's the thing: is there will be a certain percentage of your games that your teammates are gonna get mad at you, and you're gonna lose because you're doing the right thing. But it's the same thing I tell bronze Wrecking Ball players. The amount of games that you lose by not frontlining like your team wants you to, you will win triple the amount of games by actually doing the correct thing. It might not happen right away, but it will happen.
Yeah,
I get it. I've been here. I've been flamed to no end for not holding shield as Ryan, and instead pinning and controlling angles and doing DPS and so on. But you know what? I'm not silver anymore, right?
Yeah.
So those guys are still silver. Like right now, you're probably going, crap, I shouldn't have gone on the angle and poked this guy out. I should have been healing my Junker Queen, or been healing my Junkrat. Yeah, maybe that would have saved his life, but then you would have allowed the maid to kill your Idiari. So your choice. Which one are you better equipped to deal with? The guaranteed value of clearing this guy out, or the maybe somebody might need Suzu in main? Don't go with the maybe. Go with the guarantee value. That's all it really is. I don't know if your teammate's going to need Suzu, but I do know that they're going to need you shooting her out. And see, this is the problem, right? I don't hate what you try to do here, but you're trying to be a screwdriver again, or trying to be a hammer, right? You can kind of heal this here, but your job, you are already here. Mm-hmm. She needs to die. She needs to die. She needs to live. Why? Because you were here. How many supports do you know that could walk along with a tank on a flank and get away with it? Not many, right? Lucio, maybe. Moira, maybe, right? Not many. So meanwhile, you're trying to deal with a problem you can't deal with. That's it.
And I can tell you, I was totally oblivious to them being there too.
Right, because that's because where your vision is. It's always backwards. Always back to my team, back to the core, back to team. It's fun. The irony is that like this is still being a good team player, right? Like your Junker Queen's like, bro, I could 3v1 this if I had any help at all.
And that's the funny thing too, because I've been trying to do that a lot. That's another reason I love using Kiri, but I've gotten flamed by Sombras for it. But is exactly what you're saying. Like that's one thing I've picked up from VODs, and a lot of the reason I've tried to lean into her too more, which I guess is to say, yes, I hear you, and I don't know why I didn't do it with a tank, because I will do it in a heartbeat with a DPS that wants to
right. Well, very rarely will you find a tank that's going to flank like that. But I guess my point being is that you're going to take the flank. If someone's going to be with you, you're going to be pleasantly surprised. If your tank's going to be with you, DPS, it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Take the angle. With or without. With or without.
Okay.
I don't mind Ana here. By the way, I don't think this is a bad swap. I think Ana's it's very good in this map. There's a lot of sight lines. I love the damage here. Good shots here as well. Really good stuff.
And that's the only reason I love Ana on this map too, but unfortunately, I go back to what you were saying about the problem, fixing the problems. Like, I'm going to go shoot.
Yeah, I mean, it's good. It feels good. I love Ana. She might be my favorite character in the game. Only nitpick I have here is I think your positioning could be a bit better in terms of cover and sightlines. Where I'm not going to even move the camera. You got to figure it out. You know this map.
Yeah, I mean, I could swing that room to the left. I could be up on the bridge over the top of me.
That's it.
That's it.
Walk the staircase. Give yourself here. Get yourself a sight line for nade. That's all.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Good try with sleep. Good try with nade as well. That's why you take those positions, though, because if you have better vision, let's go right back to when you use those CDs. So right here, think about how much easier it would be to use a nade or a sleep with this amount of vision. You see this?
Yeah.
All of a sudden, it's significantly easier to see what's going on and to know actually what to do. So that's my criticism. But they also use 3 ults, so, you know, whatever.
Yeah, and I mean, that makes sense, too, because I definitely feel that a lot lately. I feel like I'm more
Good.
chunking, like, quick peeks with a nade around the corner.
Yeah, this is fine. This is fine. By the way, this anti-nade could have been thrown anywhere here. So you're shooting here. You could anti-nade this Meg, guarantee ice block. You anti-nade Moira to force fade. You can anti-nade this room here. You can anti-nade this here. This is like really like anti-nade anybody here because they're all engaged, right? This anti-nade though is fine. Hits your team.
What's
Go
DM?
ahead.
3 seconds now?
Yeah, 3 seconds. 3 seconds, yeah.
Yeah, I find that's. I
don't know why you drop. You getting poked by Mei? I don't care. Shoot her in the face. Sleep her in the face, right?
Yeah. That's another thing I still, which I guess that kind of goes back to more paying attention, not being tunnel visioned, is like I have a habit of throwing nades into DMs and Sig sucks and Orisa spins.
Yeah. I guarantee I know why. Positioning. If that's all you can see, because you're not taking a good angle or not taking a good sightline, then that's all you're going to see. 90% of the time, if you chuck it in the shield, it's because your positioning sucks. Like right now, let's be honest, there's not a lot of better positions available to you, right? But if beyond this choke here, you should have no reason for getting your anti-nade eaten. Unfortunate, I know you're thinking about Nano there. You just naded first. It's fine. Don't worry about it. Nano here is very good. A little rush in the sleep dart.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all right. Good Nano. I need a sightline right now. Where do you need to go?
I need to swing out left, which I think I do. Around the back
and then now we play Widowmaker too. Let's go. I think this is okay, but your sightline's objectively worse than just sitting here. You know?
Yeah,
sit here or full commit and go crazy over here. I don't care. Just move. I need a sightline. I need damage. Good shots. Big shots. The only thing I'd say there is when you're this far away, I know it feels like it's kind of hard. Just throw your nade at somebody, really. It's a big deal. It's a lot of damage. It's a lot of healing. The anti-nade value is really big, but yeah. I mean, your team wins fights when you shoot people, when you have a sightline. You know, it's that, like, this has been really, really good. The question is then now that things are a little bit tricky here, where do you need to go?
I mean, to your point, had I been up on the stairs to the left, I could have just wrapped up top.
Sure could have. And even if you don't, where do you go now?
Move out to the right. Maybe even run back up the steps if I have.
Yeah, go.
Nobody's really poking me.
Get right to here. Let's go. Now. Do it now. You might as well. Don't sit here. Good anti-nade, but move. So you don't have to hide during Diva Bomb. If you don't have to hide during Diva Bomb because you're already here, right? So let's see what we would have seen from here. Let's park you here. So there's your anti-nade. There's your shot. Bam, bam, bam. You avoid Diva Bomb. And yes, that guy dies, but now you still have a good position to win this fight, right? Like this is still a winnable fight here. The problem is everything that you're doing is pretty reasonable for the most part. Even that anti-nade, very reasonable. The problem is that you're constantly doing it at a 35% disadvantage. Sightlines, cover, vision, offensive pressure, accuracy with sleep darts, accuracy with your nades. Everything is just worse. Good pocket, by the way. Good try with the sleep dart. That was really close. Even stuff like this, like she could not be here if you were here. Instantly dead, right? She couldn't do it.
Yeah.
So I actually really like what you're doing in terms of your damage output and your nades. I think it's been all pretty reasonable. It's not perfect. Good nade there. Good nano.
I don't know why I'm still shooting junk and he's full, but all right.
No, he was frozen. I get it. You're thinking maybe he might take damage. The anti-nade there is good. You just need to get off the floor. That's it. You've had ample time to rotate here, and you haven't. That's all. It's worse for offense, worse for defense. And the reason I'm going so fast here, by the way, that's a good sign. If I go fast, it means got nothing to say besides that. So you're cooking.
Well, I mean, you know, it's interesting because that was a, that was an Ash critique that you gave me, because you did send over like 30 minutes, but that was one of my mid-fight positioning was still an issue.
Yeah.
And I guess Yeah, I guess it's the mentality of, hey, I have a coach gun.
Uh-huh. Yeah,
As
yeah,
opposed to I'm Anna, I have to run a
yeah,
long way.
yeah,
Not
yeah,
really.
yeah, yeah. Same thing here, by the way. Like, get a sightline. I know cart doors open on its own. Go deal with this. Find value. Find a sightline. Get off the floor. Where's your best sightline? Good nade. I think the heal damage balance, by the way, has been pretty good so far. No critiques.
Cool.
Yeah, you're healing people who are crit, and then as soon as you get the opportunity to, I think you're looking for a sleep here. You're looking for a nade or something.
Yeah, I was just trying to see who I could poke down, because I figured
Yeah,
they'd be
that's
standing
Yeah.
all the way there.
I got you. Good use of your scope here. Good shots. Where do you need to be?
I can rotate up to the top there.
Sure
do that.
can, right? You got time,
yeah.
right? You got time. You got time right now. Do it. Invest your time so that then when you're here, you're all set. You got the nade. See, you missed the nade. I just saw that because you're sitting on the floor, right? So
Yeah.
most of my critiques right now, and then now you're letting them take high ground on you, which means that, shockingly, this is your fault because this is you should have killed this.
Yeah.
You're here with Sleep Dart and Nade, she's dead. She's Nade, she's gone. She can't do that. Problem is that all of your offensive output is restricted because your vision sucks. That's all.
And see, this feels like that, it's funny because I think in preparation for this today, I was thinking about just different things. I was thinking about an A10 video about space.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, I don't understand space. But now it's like, you talking through this, like in terms of, well, you could have positioned there because they wouldn't come up there. And it's like, wait, this has to be the space thing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm in a space and
Mm-hmm.
they're going to, okay. That's
Yeah,
cool.
you're playing your effective range. You're playing, like, I'm not just saying take high ground, turn your brain off, take high ground. It's just that this is a good sight line, a long, nice open sight line. This is not a good sight line. Ironically, you could even stay on cart and rotate to here, and this would probably be better than where you're at. Better cover, better vision, right? So the consistent theme here, going all the way back to the first point, going up the staircase right out of the spawn door, right? You just need better vision. That's all. Like that's what happens, right? That's what happens, right? Like you're like, oh, I walked to the door. Either way, you're dead. There's somebody above your head. That's your responsibility. So, I mean, obviously a couple missed shots here and there, yeah. But like, I think for the most part, that's your biggest issue, right? Even this again, that. Do you see how easy it is for her to, in theory, eat these nades and sleeps? Right?
Yeah.
Think about the difference between going here, right? And by the way, Kiri example, go and help somebody on an angle. It's so much harder for her to eat this anti-nade, and it's so much better vision for it too, right? Nanos are good.
That makes sense.
I like that we're nanoing people who are engaged. It's good. And the problem is as your team presses W, your vision just gets worse and worse and worse. I mean, I think the most concerning thing I can tell you, and the most complimentary thing, is that that's 90% of your problems this game. 90% of your problems are due to your sightlines and you not being creative enough for your space. Let's stay on the Ana here.
Can't remember if I stay on or
You come back on it.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. Use the anti-nade. Oh my goodness gracious.
Hey, I took it. I don't care if she DC'd or whatever.
Yeah,
know.
whatever.
I don't think she did, but whatever she did.
Yeah. Where should you be?
Trying to get up the high ground.
That's right. You got the door right to here, so it's right here that you get to here. You rotate up. You park yourself here. You park yourself here. I mean, look at this. This is stressful. This is dangerous. This is hard to get vision for nades and sleeps. The nade's fine. I appreciate the nade. Even the sleep attempt is fine, but you're going to get frozen because you're on the floor. That's not your responsibility. Good try with the anti-nade. I mean, literally everything is we're coming back to how you're positioning yourself. Yeah, and you're cooked there. Okay, let's look at you said not the Blizzard World. Was it the Blizzard World?
I can wall next.
Yeah, let's do this.
Yeah, and it was just, yeah.
So Kiri, take angles. Ana, I guess, take angles, take vision, right? Similar kind of concept, right? I want to again emphasize what's being done well. You are using your cooldowns well. It's not perfect, but you're using them well. You're looking for anti-nades. When you're not under pressure, you're looking for sleep darts. You're looking for offensive pressure, healing nades. You're nanoing at the right times. You just are in the absolute worst possible position to put out value. Now, I'm going to say one more thing too. That last game, despite your poor positioning, is gold level play. It's gold level play. And you're silver, yeah?
Yeah.
So you don't play consistently at that level. So the question is, what kind of mindset were you in? What were you doing in terms of practice to play like that? And games that you don't play at that level, why? What can you do to avoid that? Whether it's tilt, distraction, fatigue, listening to teammates, swapping around, whatever. I'm telling you, despite the errors there, that is not silver level gameplay. That's around mid gold.
Cool. Yeah, and it's like, and I guess just for the sake of time, I'll make this kind of short. Like,
sure.
One of my struggles is definitely like that is a comfortable map for me, even though my positioning, because I didn't.
Why is it comfortable?
It just feels open, and like I know that's where Ana fits. But now you take me to Junkertown Arena, even with Kiri, I'm not quite as like I would say what I would call a CQC map. I feel claustrophobic, and I struggle with that. So that's one of my other, but that's probably for another review at some point.
Sure.
But so this is gonna be me shooting, healing the Bastion on a flank for a little bit, but this was the one where I was talking about. I think it might be more to the point you were making of, hey, not just sitting back, heal bot and Bastion.
I mean, there's a reason that you got wall climb, right?
Yeah, because I think I just get fed up because they're like, nobody's really like, they're poking it, but they're not really pushing. I'm just like, screw this, I can't.
Right. Well, this is where like this is where the ego kicks in, right? So the ego encourages you to make a good decision, but I don't want it to be that's the reason why I took the angle. I want it to be a strategic decision, right? I don't want there to be emotion involved and like, screw this, I'm going to do it myself, right? The problem is you're the one that if I'm bashing, I'm mad at you.
Yeah.
Right? I'm mad at you. I was doing pickup games the other day. We were doing like worst overbuff heroes versus the best overbuff heroes on stream or whatever. And I was playing Roadhog and had one of my buddies on Kiriko. And I kept telling the Kiriko, I'm like, stop healing me, go angle. Because like we're playing into these flankers and we just had Hanzo Sojourn. I was like, if we don't get a Kiriko on an angle contesting that Tracer or something, or contesting those DPS, like they're going to dumpster us. Like, don't sit here and heal bot me. I got all the healing I need. I don't need your Suzu. You go do your thing. And when Kiriko's doing her thing, she wins games, right? So yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, I remember doing that. I think I played in some pugs earlier this year. And I remember I was playing with Gregor or somebody, and it was like, we were playing Junkertown, and he's up first point on top, and I was healing him, and I'm like, I'm sorry. He's like, nah, I'm good. I'm vibing.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, okay. All right.
Yeah. Like people, you notice at the higher level, they understand, right? They understand like what your job is, right? So, especially people in my community, I like to think so anyway. But I mean, this is pressure, right? This is contesting sightlines. Now, I would say you could probably do better than this with your mobility. You could go deeper. Where should you be?
I mean, I could probably maybe that room down to the left.
Yeah.
Or either.
Get in here.
I guess, because there are stairs there. And then
it's just cover, right? Like you need the cover, right? This is a little bit too open, too directly in front of the team. I don't want them to look up to shoot you. That's better than looking straight forward. But I'd love for them to look to the side. That's even better. And you can TP through walls. So when we're talking about angles, it's not just about taking a high ground and just spamming. Like, take an angle. Get off the clock. Go to 3 o'clock, right? This is good. This is pressure. Like, let's look at what the attention looks like here. So with you shooting here, they've got Idiari repositioned, right? Torb is here, but Sigma's left his shield here. We've got Juno pressuring you. We've got Junkrat and Spawn, to be fair, but you're actually creating space here that otherwise wasn't there. The problem is you create space doing something, and then you bail. You still got your teleport. Drop to here and keep shooting. You cannot out-heal this damage. I promise you. It's impossible. If all of them shoot into this room, there is no Suzu in the world. You need 4 Suzus to out-heal that, right? But what you can do is you can kill this Idiari. You can kill this Juno. You can shoot this Sigma in the face and pull his shield over here, right? This is your responsibility.
Yeah.
You're cooked here. Now, you guys are up 2, so I think you guys will probably be okay. But if this starts to go south, that's your fault.
Yeah, and it's interesting you say that because I don't know how many times I sit there and complain about people. No, just, again, not the blame game, but just objective fact of how many people stand out in the open and like.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, I've literally gotten toxic, not super toxic in chat, but like people that do exactly what you're saying that I know I can't save, and they flame me, and I'm like, go back and watch the replay. You're standing out in the open, and even God couldn't heal all that damage you just took. So it's funny you said. I guess again, here we go back to full circle, focusing on the wrong problem.
Yeah. That's right. This is not a problem that you can deal with, right? You don't have a shield here, right? Heck, you don't even have Suzu here. Even if you did, I wouldn't want you to do it, but you don't have anything to deal with this. In fact, if this EDR had any brains, she'd have dropped her ult here or here and hit you and killed you instead, right? Like this is just not your responsibility. You cannot deal with this. I like the Suzu, by the way, or the Kitsune. Just use it. But angle's the name of the game with this character. Not damage necessarily, but angle. It's often damage, but you take an angle. Set up a different crossfire. You don't do that, you don't win.
Yeah, and I guess to your point, I guess what I'm in terms of the takeaway of that bridge was, it's like you said, it's like the verticality where they shoot, but it's also, yes, I'm on top of the bridge and I'm applying pressure, but maybe I'm also shooting from the same direction.
It was better than what you were doing before, and better is better than bad, right? And it's just so I think like I agreeing with you, right? Like we can critique that for sure, but at the same time, it's a good reminder that you don't even have to take the perfect position to improve your situation. Like for example, right now, try your hand. What's the best angle you can take here?
I mean, I could swing out right, or left, or. If I was feeling frisky, I could wrap back around where Bastion's at, come up over the top. Yeah, maybe.
Actually, I'm not sure which one's better. You got enough space with you. Like Kiriko, the one thing that's the case with Kiriko in terms of your angles is you do want to play a little bit of distance, right? Maybe not full sniper range, but like creating a little bit of distance here. Like I wouldn't necessarily want to play this angle here. It's too close, right? But yeah, wall climb up and over. That's it. Yep, go through out here. Now you want to play cover here. Shoot, a little bit heal. Shoot, heal. This is the play.
I like that one better. Yeah.
This is really good. I mean, I like both, to be clear. I think the one that you gave was probably a better chance of getting a kill. But with this one, you're going to be able to hold it a little bit longer, right? So let's go, because this is the same situation, right? You're stuck in a choke. Now, your Bastion's ulting, which is nice, and that's going to get you out of the choke. But what if you've been stuck?
Yeah.
What if you've been stuck? Same thing here. Get a little healing. Now, where do you need to be?
Probably, like, past them up in that corner, at least where it wrapped around the corner.
Like here? Yeah. At the very least, start to utilize your wall climb. Get up here. Put some pressure here. Put some damage here. Get in at least in this room. Like let's start to take space here. The problem is if you don't do this early enough, which you didn't, you're going to be stuck in a never-ending loop where you're never going to be on an angle. It's just like you've been tailing behind the whole time, and the only reason you're really winning this is because your team is just dumping the ult bank, right? Which, good on them. Your team is carrying it here. Okay, where do you need to be?
I could go swing over to that door on the right side, or either over with Queen since she's being aggressive up front. Yeah. But, I can say for that last little stretch up through the door there, a lot of that, this game isn't that long ago, so I can tell you the thought process was the same as the Moira orb. Like, I'm going to stand behind my team and just heal because I don't trust them, really. I mean, if we're being frank about it, I can tell you that
I respect
thought process for sure. But again, to
I understand.
Point, it's like getting past that and just like, well, that's,
The problem is it reminds me of a feud, is what it is. It reminds me of like one of those old Southern feuds, where it's like, well, I'm gonna blow up their goat pen or shoot their goat pen well, why'd you do that? Well, why would you do that? Well, them, they'll shoot ours, so we're gonna shoot theirs. That's just who they are. And it's like, well, it's just like a never-ending circle. It's like, well, I'm scared my team's gonna be taking too much damage, so I got to heal my team. Well, why do you think they're taking too much damage? Well, I don't know. I can't take an angle because, they take too much damage. Well, the reason they're taking too much damage is because you're not on an angle, right? Like you're not pulling any attention. You're not pulling any resources. You're not taking any space. You're not playing to your strengths. So, yeah, you're going to have this self-fulfilling prophecy where your team's going to take so much damage, like your Bastion on first point. And it's crazy how the second that you took an angle, that's all of a sudden Bastion stopped dying. Weird, isn't it, right? Yeah. Like, it's funny how that works, right? So, if you look for ugly, you're going to find ugly. If you look for problems here, like look at my team, they're trolling. You're doing nothing this fight. You're contributing so little this fight. Because if we flip the script here and just put you in the right spot, right? Whether that's here, shooting Sigma in the back, healing Bastion, shooting Torb, whether that's helping your queen so that she can actually feel... I mean, look at this, right? This is Merry Christmas to you and your queen right here. Mm-hmm. You go kill... Yeah, you're going to lose a couple people. You're going to kill their backline and come spicing out, right? You could sit up top here. Imagine what you could do from here, right? Talk about healing and damage. This is the perfect vision for it. And this is, by the way, this isn't a flank either. This is just a little bit of a different sight line, right? You don't have to go crazy living on the back line. Just not this. Not this. Not this.
Yeah.
Because you're trying to do damage here. It's just nothing to do. Can't see anything. So you're playing like a significantly worse version of Ana, even though you have to teleport and wall climb and all that kind of stuff. So let's take some notes here. Ana, what do you got? I mean, I think Ana and Kiriko really, truly very simple with both. Very important, but very simple.
Better positioning based on the hero.
Well, with what? With Ana, be specific. What about your position needed to be better?
I will say, in terms of that specific map, Junkertown, taking more high ground when I can for better looks, that will improve darts, nades. Yeah. So that, and then with Kiri, just taking more flank type angles and not being so worried about just pumping heals straight up my team's butt while I'm losing, and taking more, paying more attention, like with the Queen example where she went in on the Mei and the Baby Diva, being more aware of that. Because I can tell you, to your point, I keep saying to your point because you're right, you're right, but it's like it was like, be mindful of what they're doing, because it's like I can tell you it goes back to that whole echo. Okay, I saved Queen, now that job's done, but I still have the echo job stuck in my head. So it's like, all right, well, that ain't my job. It's to go with Queen and help her, enable her do her thing.
That's it, exactly. It's recognizing what kind of errors leads you to follow in that downward spiral, and a lot of it is just... A lot of it feels like this is a problem, so I have to do this. I have to heal my team to get through the choke, or I have to deal with the Echo Mercy. And the reality is you just need to get value. You need to get value. Yeah. You do what you do best, and then that's how you contribute, right? Like, everyone's got their own specialty, right? You play Kiriko, she's got value that she can provide. I mean, there's a reason why DPS Lucio, not DPS Lucios, but like really aggressive Lucios can work even in sniper maps, right? They can't speed their tank around, but they can dive the backline, right? They can provide value in the way that they can provide value, and there's definitely strengths and weaknesses. But if you're playing Kiriko like this, then you should just be playing BAP, You should just be playing BAP. So the question is just, what can my character do that, and then don't worry about if that's what's best for your team. Just get value.
Yeah. Oh, and I guess a general outside of positioning would be take the emotion out of it, which I see you do your job, but I think that goes to the mental too of, am I doing this because it's right, or am I doing this because I want to diff the Widow, Kiri, whoever, or they're just being a pain in the butt.
Okay. Any other questions, mate?
No, I think that's it for now.